What in the 20s is going
in the
on?
20s,
Think about
yeah.
the
20s,
What
baby.
Plenty. What in the 20s is
I
going
am here for my
on?
20s, baby.
This is the 20s.
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Zama Mkize, and this is What in the 20s, a podcast where you listen to me grow through its baby. On this episode, we're going to be speaking about year-end fatigue. I know we're all feeling it right now. I know that it is kicking us in ways that feel so unbearable, so brutal, so unfair, you know. So year-end fatigue is essentially like this feeling of burnout, right, that we get towards the year. It is like this tiredness, the sense of exhaustion. You actually feel like you are fighting. You are fighting to get to the end of the end of the year. It's really difficult, to work. It's really difficult for you to be around people and all that kind of stuff because you just want everything to be over. It's really difficult to make deadlines, to study, to just complete tasks. Because you're so tired. You're so over it. And I think that it even sometimes feel like a mental and emotional fog, right? I was saying to a friend of mine yesterday that I'm actually so tired of thinking. Like, I'm so tired of coming up with ideas, of being creative, of coming up with concepts and topics and all of that kind of stuff. Like, my brain feels so like there's just a fog, like I feel like I'm not thinking as clearly as I need to or as efficiently as I want to and all of that kind of stuff. Sometimes it takes me a minute, to try to remember what it is I'm trying to say or whatever, because like you don't even feel like talking. You don't even feel like talking sometimes. You don't feel like exerting any more energy than you have throughout the year. Like, I feel like it is this deep desire to want to wrap the year up, right? To want to call it, to feel like you've finished, to feel like you've completed something, right? And it's like you're staring at that finish line, but for some reason you're not getting to it. I think sometimes it even feels like time is moving backwards. It feels like you're stuck in this time warp where like things just aren't progressing or whatever it is. It's like, that we're almost at the end. You can literally see it and feel it, but for some reason you're just not getting there, and everything just feels so slow, so stuck. And it's weird because so for me personally, this is the time of the year where I get most of my work, right? So I'm a freelance artist, and because this time feels more festive and stuff like that, a lot more events are going on, which means I get commissioned to do work a lot more during this time where I feel so over the year. During this time where I feel so exhausted, so like ready to be done and all of that, this is where I need to be powering up even more, where I need to be exerting myself even more and all of that. To describe this feeling, it's like, think about when you were in high school or primary and stuff. Think about those last 2 periods on a Friday afternoon. How difficult it was for you to complete whatever was being given to you, and not even just for students. I think for the teachers too. Like, I feel like I can remember vividly so many times where the teachers did not have the energy to teach, did not have the energy to even give out homework and all of that kind of stuff, because it just felt like, oh my gosh, can this day end? Can the weekend begin, right? You're waiting for it to be over and stuff. Like, you actually, some teachers even let you out early. They're like, yeah, guys, we can call it. You guys are released from class and stuff like that, because it's just this feeling of like, when is this going to be over, right? And for some reason, those last 2 periods on a Friday take the longest. It could be a 40-minute class, session that feels like an hour each, and it's not ending. It's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I'd feel bad for anyone who has to do a test in those last periods and stuff, because it's like, how do you even bring your brain to focus and function and stuff after going through a full day of working and thinking? And I think that's essentially what year-end fatigue really, why it happens, is because you're really processing the whole year. You're processing everything that you've had to go throughout the year, everything you've had to survive. Perhaps there was something difficult that happened in the year, and you've had to muster up the strength and the courage to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep showing up and all of that kind of stuff. And now it's like you're waiting for the year to be over because it's like I've gone through so much, like I I need to rest. You want a soft landing. Sometimes it could be things that you've lost. Perhaps you are grieving. You've lost somebody this year. You're grieving a friendship. You're grieving a person and all of that kind of stuff. And you're just waiting and waiting and waiting to be over because there was just so much you had to carry throughout the year. I think it can be also all the things you've learned, maybe you were in school, maybe there were life lessons, all of that kind of stuff. You're thinking about all the lessons in life you had to go through, and now you're nearing the end of the year. So you can just like, pumulanje, just like, calm down a bit and stuff. Like you've had to just, carry those lessons into every space that you take up, everything that you do and all of that kind of stuff. Your brain is so tired from everything you've done, also everything you've gained, right? It takes a lot to achieve. It takes a lot to succeed. It takes a lot to be able to have breakthrough, to do things and stuff like that. So there's a mental load and taxation that goes on throughout the year, preparing for that breakthrough, preparing to get to the other side. So even though good things were happening for you this year, you know everything it took for you to get there. You know all the planning that it took, all the effort that you had to apply, all the time spent and all of that kind of stuff. And now you just want to get to the end of the year where you don't have to think about certain things anymore. You can just enjoy. I know that sometimes I would struggle after I achieved something because it felt like the next thing was just coming, like it felt like the next task was being presented to me. The next deadline is on its way to me. Like sometimes I just feel like I don't get a moment to just kind of like, and that's why I'm so looking forward to the end of the year where I can go home, be in Durban, being close to the ocean, be with my family. Like it just feels like such a restorative time, but like right now it's still just like submission after submission after submission and like completing certain tasks and editing and there's just things that need to be done that for some reason just never get done, and there's just certain things that we go through. Sometimes it's also like dealing with the disappointment, right? The disappointment of certain things that didn't work out for you. So say you began the year with goals that you had in mind, with intentions that you had set out, resolutions that, you had geared towards kind of making happen. And now you're realizing we're close to the end of the year and those things just did not work out for you. You weren't able to tick off that goal off of your list and stuff, tick off that, plan that she had. And sometimes that is some of the things we grieve, right? We grieve the dreams that we had sought out, the disappointment of things failing, of things falling apart, a relationship that didn't work out anymore and all of that kind of stuff. Like I think we can feel really sad, or maybe your resolution was to get into a relationship this year and now you're realizing we're close to the end of the year and you're still not in a relationship. Like the thing that you really thought like, oh, this was going to be my year where this happens and all of that kind of stuff, and all of a sudden it doesn't happen. Well, not all of a sudden, throughout the year, 12 months of it, and it doesn't work out for you. It doesn't happen. And you just kind of want to wrap the year up so you can begin again. So you can dream again. You're dealing with that disappointment and it's hard. Sometimes it could be plans that change. Maybe you started school, right? You're in university and then somehow in the middle of it, you had to take an academic leave of absence, or you couldn't finish because of financial reasons and stuff like that. Like things just had to change for you. And now you just want the year to be over because it's a lot to carry. It's a lot of sadness and unmet plans, unmet desires, that you needed to be fulfilled and stuff like that. But life does what life does and it switches up on you, life happens and things are just out of your control and you kind of just wait to get to the other side of the year so we can like figure out a new plan, because right now everything just feels too late. Everything just feels like I can't start now, perhaps like again, speaking about financial reasons, maybe this was a really difficult financial year for you. I know for a lot of people 2025 financially took so much out of them, and it becomes really difficult to get motivated and excited and hopeful and stuff, for even the festive season and stuff. Like maybe you're feeling really stressed out, like how am I going to finance this? How am I going to make sure that it's a special time with family and friends and all of that kind of stuff? Like you just feel so sad and like a little bit empty, a little bit demotivated and all of that kind of stuff because, you know, this year just took so much out of you. And yeah, like I think when you're sitting in like unmet potential, unfulfilled dreams and plans and goals that just didn't happen up for you, it all just starts feeling like a burden. It feels like you're carrying this burden to the end of the year. You know, it feels like you're so desperate to start a new year so you can leave this all behind, right? So you can leave all this pain and suffering and sadness and disappointment and all of that kind of stuff behind you. Because I think the beginning of the year has a beautiful way of making us feel like we're on a blank canvas, of making us feel like we get to start again. But when we're still in the previous year, it feels like everything that has happened is still on our canvas, you know, and we carry it everywhere and with everything. And I think what happens is we're using what's left of us, right? We're using what's left of our brain cells, of our energy. We are literally burning out fumes trying to get to the finish line because of carrying all of these burdens, carrying this boulder up the hill, you know. We're literally, it's like you can feel your muscles giving in, your knees kind of shaking and all of that, but like you have to carry it. You have to make it to the end of the year. You have to submit that assignment. You have to make that deadline and all of that kind of stuff. Like you just have to, because you have to finish the year, you know? And I think that the problem with year-end fatigue is that in a lot of ways it makes us short-sighted, in a sense that like we will literally only be living for December, right? Because we're so over October and November. Like we're actually too tired like to put in the work and all of that kind of stuff. You know, it makes us only live for the beginning of the year, you know, like January, February, March, like we'll only have that enthusiasm and excitement and all of that in the beginning. But like towards the end, we kind of lose focus, right? We lose focus of what our goals were, of being principled and disciplined and aligned. We kind of just don't care anymore. We don't care that we started the year having a morning routine. We don't care that we told ourselves this year we were going to go to gym. We don't care that we wanted to set out and achieve this thing and do that thing or whatever it is, because it feels like time, as I said earlier, time is running out. So like, what's the point anyway? You just start feeling like, you know, who cares anyways? What's the point? Like, I'm tired. I've gone through so much. Let's just wrap it up. And that's what I mean. Like, it makes us just not live for every day, but live for some other end goal, which is the beginning of the next year, you know? And yeah, I think also it messes with our work ethic, right? Our ability to perform well and maintain a consistent level of quality, right, in terms of the work that we produce, because now we're just feeling so over it. We're feeling so like, as I said, we're not focused, we're not concentrated, and we don't care. You know, we just, as long as it's done, as long as I submit it, as long as, you know, we don't care to edit, to check again, to be sure, to be, you know, like all of that kind of stuff. We don't care to give our best, right? Because we just feel like as long as it's out there, as long as it's done, I'm happy. I remember in school when we used to say, as long as I pass, as long as it's like 40% in math, I'm okay, I'm good. I don't need more. As long as it says pass at the end of the day, as long as it says 50% or whatever it is, that's when we feel content with ourselves. And I think that's an issue, right? Because we're teaching ourselves that it's okay to produce a lower level of work ethic and quality and stuff, just because we don't feel like it, you know, just because we're not in the mood, just because we're tired. And we need to teach ourselves to have the obedience, to maintain the standard, to maintain what it is that we're trying to achieve and all of that, rather than give in to just kind of giving up, right? And I think that how we can avoid this year-end burnout, because I think that for me personally, this year, I'm not burning out as bad as I did last year. And that was because of certain changes that I made in my life. Like last year, when I said I was burnt out, I was dust and ash. You know, like I was half a brain cell, you know, a third of a brain cell, if I'm being quite honest. Like I could not bring myself to do anything. Sometimes I felt like I couldn't even move. That's how tired I was. And it was actually really sad to be quite honest, because it took me a long time, many months to recover from that burnout. But I think that this year, what has changed is that I have self-regulation kind of routines, right? That I implement weekly, you know, and if it's not weekly, maybe every second week or monthly at the very least. And I think that helps, because I think why we get to a point where we're over it is because we live out of autopilot. We get to a point where we just wake up because it's time to wake up. Your alarm rang and all of that. We show up to work because you just have to. You drive home. You don't even remember the drive home because it's an out of body experience and stuff. And you do that long enough until you feel like a shell of a human being. And that was what happened with me last year. Like I wasn't present with myself or what was going on because all I just kept telling myself is this needs to get done, this needs to get done, and that needs to get done. And this year, I do little things, very little things that make the biggest difference, whether it is, applying a face mask on a Sunday. It feels like I'm doing something that pours back into me, like some me time, that just makes me feel like I'm taking care of myself, I even just before coming here, like I literally exfoliated and all of that kind of stuff. I spent a little extra time in the shower or whatever because it just felt like I was doing something for me. And I think that why we burn out is because we're spending so much time expelling ourselves, like pouring ourselves out into our friendships, our relationships, our jobs, our responsibilities and all of that. But you need to constantly be making time and effort to do things for you, whether it is cooking a meal that makes you feel so good. I've been I've been trying to put in a lot more effort into making sure I eat at home more often, right? And that has been really nice. Like it makes me feel so much like, oh, I care about myself. Like last year I didn't care to like make sure I ate at home more often and stuff like that. And it really affected me. Like it affected my habits, my energy levels, my routine, all of that kind of stuff. Like there's just certain things that you need to be consistently doing that feels like an act of self-love, that feels like dedicating time to yourself. And I think that way you're able to, like, even though you feel tired during the week, like right now I feel really, really tired. I know that if I just do something this weekend or whatever that just makes me feel good, I feel like I'll have energy and momentum and stuff to pick up again on Monday morning and all of that. Like I'm learning how to not only live for the weekend, but also live during the week, like, whether it's midweek, whatever, have things to look forward to, book a trip or whatever. That would just make you excited and not just kind of down here and stuff, but more your mood is just elevated and stuff when you just have something to look forward to, an event to go to hang out with your friends and stuff like that. Like literally take out your calendar. If you could look at my calendar, I already know what December looks like for me and stuff like that. And I'm just putting things in, to keep me motivated, to keep me looking forward, rather than stuck in my like fatigue and all of that. I keep thinking, oh, I may be tired now, but on this date, I'm going to be doing this, whatever. So I got to keep going. I got to keep pushing. Oh, this time this year, I will be in this place. I will be, say for example, I'll be in Cape Town or whatever it is that she decides to do. It just gives you something. It puts a little bit more joy, right? It puts a little bit more joy in what you're feeling and stuff, that it doesn't make it so dampening to have to work. Like, I think that's how I feel, is like, I don't feel that's just out to work anymore. I mean, I'm overwhelmed and I'm under pressure and stuff like that, but I think about the reward, right? I keep trying to tell myself, like, once all of this is done, Zama, then we're going to go do this or we're going to go here and stuff. And the reward feels so great that I feel more motivated to work and to, just not burn out. Like, and last year I didn't have things to look forward to. So I was just like, I'm actually so over the year. But yeah, when you just keep like putting things that just make it more exciting, change your attitude also. Like, I think that's also something that I've really been trying to put in my stride, is that this time this year, I always feel this way. Everybody feels this way. We feel fatigued, we feel tired, we feel over it. So now I'm trying to change my mindset and my attitude and be more excited, be more thrilled, be more appreciative, feel more proud, of everything that it took to get through the year, appreciative of everything that I have, everything that I'm still able to do, my body being healthy and all of that kind of stuff. Like, I think I'm just trying to change my attitude to just start my day better and stuff. Like, instead of just feeling dreaded, like, oh my God, I'm so over it, I'm tired or whatever, I keep trying to tell myself, like, no, Summer, like, this is great, like another month. And I know it's not easy because it's like, you really have to trick your brain. But when you do it enough times, I promise you it has started working. My friend and I, every morning, we call each other now. And because in the past, we used to just be like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired and stuff in the morning. But now, I have a friend, every time when I call him, he's like, Zama, I'm on top of the world. Every single time when I ask him, how are you doing? He's like, I'm on top of the world, baby. And I think it helps. Like, you're speaking life into yourself, onto yourself and all of that kind of stuff. You just got to say things like, I'm great, I'm excited, I'm today's gonna be a great day. You don't even know whatever, but like, you say it enough time until endorphins start popping up, inside of you. Dopamine starts being released inside of you and all of that kind of stuff. Like you just gotta, sometimes you really do just have to fake it until you make it, And I don't know, I think it has made a difference in my life. Not drastically. I'm still very new to it, but I can feel that I'm able to show up more, like where in the past I'd kind of just not want to, or whatever it is. Like I think I'm being a lot more kind to myself, a lot more gentle, a lot more considerate, compassionate and all of that. And it just feels good. Like I feel, as I said, like I'm taking care of myself, which is why I don't feel as fatigued as I know I would be during this time. So yeah, that's what I wanted to speak about today, is that I know that we're all battling just a sense of wanting to wrap this year up and tiredness and all of that kind of stuff. And I know for some of us, there's just a lot more work coming in now compared to the rest of the year, which means we have to power through. We have to find an outsource energy from somewhere. And yeah, I want to encourage you to take to take comfort in this time, to take strength or whatever it is. Change your mindset, change your attitude. That instead of feeling sluggish and slow or whatever, power up. Power up. Have things to look forward to. I think that's the biggest thing I can encourage you with. Instead of just feeling so stuck in your present that it makes you feel sad. As always, I'm sending my love. Goodbye.
What in the 20s is going on?
In the 20s
here?
The 20s, baby.
Plenty. What in the 20s is going on?
I am here for my 20s, baby.
This is the 20s.